Hello and welcome everybody to this Skills Kickstart session on pricing and promotions basics. Our presenter today is going to be Lori Hamill. We're gonna go ahead and get started here in just a minute, just to give some other attendees a minute to get logged in, get settled. So while we wait for them, while this presentation is going on, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to post those in the chat or utilize the Q&A. Like I said, during the session, we would love to answer those and make it as interactive and informative as possible. So we're just going to give it here a minute just to let everybody kind of trickle in and we'll go ahead and get started. Alrighty, and it actually looks like we just got a big bump, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who just arrived, this is the Skills Kickstart session on pricing and promotions basics with Lori Hamill. And with that, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thanks, Alex. All right. So in this Skills Kickstart session, I am your fearless leader, Lori Hamill. I am the Customer Enablement Program Manager here at Encompass. I started a little over 4 years ago and on the admin side of things. So my focus at Encompass has primarily been on the administrative duties, things like pricing and promotions during my tenure here. In this session, we're going to be talking about that promotions data model and how it gets linked to some of its important supporting records and some of the important relationships in there. That includes things like promotions to zones, locations, and markets, or customers, and then also products through the promotions products relationship, setting all products, or using lines. I am going to talk about promotion types as well, sort of that product price versus frontline difference. And then we'll go into a demo where we're actually looking at how promotions can be set up in different ways for different needs in order to achieve the pricing that we want. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into that. Now, when I think of promotions, I think that it is the confluence of what comes together for the customer, the product, and the location. And it's going to be that promotion or that pricing that where all of those things meet. So all of these three things have to come together in order for that right pricing to exist. And we do that through this flexible and adaptive data model. It always starts at the promotion level. So in any promotions that you've created a promotion record and set certain data on it. And there's two sort of methods to get those three things set. There always has to be products, and we can either do that through promotions products or lines. There's also a toggle switch that would allow us to use all products, but we attach products to the promotion. And then we attach the customers to it. And we can either do that through promotion zones or promotions customers directly on the promotion, or we can group all of those things, promotion zones and promotions locations, into a market that's then reusable. So I don't have to continually reset the same handful of records. And this is particularly useful when I have like a collection of zones, or if I'm pulling together multiple locations, I just set that one field that's a required field anyway and move along. So we've talked about making the connection between the products, between the customers, and then the location is very similar to the promotion zones and customers in that one, it has to exist. And two, it can either be set directly on the promotion or it can be set on the market. So we have all of these different ways of achieving this goal of putting that in the center, that pricing, the confluence of product, locations, and customer together. So that's what that looks like. And if you're looking at this thinking, where's the sort of hierarchies in here, we'll put this together in a demo. But first, we're going to talk about the different types of promotions. So most commonly, we're seeing front lines. And a front line is this very first level of pricing for customers. It's the full price. And how this is different than what we set in that price field on an individual product is that with a frontline, we have the ability to sort of set different numbers for different reasons. So if you have chain store pricing and we have a specific frontline for a specific chain, If you offer military frontline or, on-premise versus off-premise, these are reasons that we might have a different baseline price for different types of customers. And it's that frontline that gives us the ability. Whereas if we were just using the price field on the product, we would not be able to set up that kind of repeatable business logic based on the specific characteristics that identify different customers by type or group or, some kind of logic. So that's the main difference between the front line and the product price. Now, the next most common type of promotion that we see is this discount and price promotion type. And we either set a discount, which is off of the front line or the product price if you're not using one. We do recommend a front line, or it's setting an entirely new price for it. So that difference would be if my front line is set to $20 and I take a $2 discount, then it means the extended price goes down to $18 versus if I set a promotion that's just set at $18, then my price and extended price are the same. I'm not seeing anything in that discount on the invoice. So there's no discount taken. I'm just setting a different price. So know that the front line and the discount can be stacked. Those are the only two types of promotions that can really go together. A price promotion works similarly. It's setting an entirely new price and it can't be stacked with anything else. Now, the next type of promotion I'm going to talk about is this $0 promotion. Now, what I like to say is that Encompass has two jobs. It helps you get products to people and get paid. And a $0 promotion seems like it's not doing one of those things. But we are sort of setting expectations around what that price should be. And in this case, it's zero. We are actually trying to sell the product at $0. And the reasons that we often use a zero promotion type is for inventory adjustments, if we're doing any kind of donations. So there's like, a charity that you're supporting locally or an event or something like that, that you're donating this product to. Those are reasons that we would have a $0 promotion, or if we're giving samples. So, it's very selective that you would need to do that. They don't apply to everybody all of the time. But there are instances in which we want to take that product out of inventory and we want to account for it in some way, either through that inventory adjustment or through the donation that we're making to this local charity or, whatever it is. We need to know that that product is taken out and we need to have it at $0. So it's the reason that we might use that zero promotion type and set up some, business rules around it. The next type of promotion that I'll talk about are free goods. So these BOGO type promotions, buy one, get one, buy five, get one, buy 10, get two, whatever it is you're setting up, there's the setup of a qualifying purchase and, offering that additional quantity defined. So the free goods promotion sets, whatever good or goods qualify and then saying, I want to give away this one unit, these 2 units. So that again, it's tracking with our inventory. We know exactly what we have, and we have the ability to sort of manage it in the ways that are expected. It gets added to the invoices and it gets displayed in reasonable ways so that it's easy to identify. There's no questions about it. At least on that transaction level between like the delivery and the customer that you're delivering it to. Now, the last sort of grouping of promotion types that I want to talk about here are the at-cost promotions, and these are less common, but they still exist. So at-cost promotions are intended to sell the product at things like FOB value, laid in plus tax, laid in minus tax, all of these sort of cost-based pricing, and they're commonly used for transfers or sales to other distributors. So if you're working in a location or a company that has multiple locations, you know that your location has purchased a product and that other location says, hey, can you sell me a couple of pallets of it? You're not doing that necessarily to make a profit, but you need to recoup those costs. The cost of putting it on a truck and having it delivered, the cost of the gas to get there, the purchase price of the product itself that you bought from the supplier. So those are the reasons that you might use an at-cost promotion, is those transfers. Or say another distributor, the next state over is out of a product, and it's the same kind of thing. What is the determination that you're using to price this product for them internally, externally, like within your network of people? How are you managing that? Because again, it does need to come out of the inventory. We are providing some kind of invoice, and you may be generous, but you're not like free goods generous, giving this away to other, locations or distributors. So those are the types of promotions. In this session, we're going to be looking specifically at frontline and discount and price, because this is ultimately pricing and promotions basics, and those are the most common that we see. So we have talked about the data model. We have talked about the different types of promotions. And now I'd like to get into the fun stuff. We're going to go ahead and demo this. Now, the way that I like to look at promotions, I think it's most beneficial for us to do that from an actual invoice. So I'm going to start by going to a customer, and I'm going to do that through Universal Search here. And I'm going to create an invoice so that we can see some of this pricing coming through. And I want to add an invoice, and we're going to quick add. That looks good to me. All right, so looking at the invoice edit screen here, I actually want to go into Invoice Edit Plus. I'm going to add a bunch of products that are all from the same brand family and supplier. So that's how I'm going to search for them so that we can pull this through. And that's Wind and Clouds. So if I go to Wind and Clouds Brewing, we're going to search for all of their products. And immediately I can see that there's a problem in their pricing. This has a price, but like I'm seeing a $0 here. Now I know I want to add this product to this invoice. I'm going to continue to do that. So I'm going to add 1 unit of each of the products in here so that we can talk more about it, but keep this $0 in mind. I've got set prices for all of these things. I'm going to save those, and that price is coming through. I could validate it here if I needed to. I can also click into any of these products to see more about them. So if I go down to where I've got these items, boy, we've got a rich history of product purchases here. All right, we're gonna just do a little Control F. We want I think it was the pumpkin. To me, here we go. All right. It was not, but I can still see some of these different prices coming through. If I select any of these products, if I click on them, now I can see more of their history. I can see, for example, the promotion calendar. There's no promotions to display. You can see price and discount information. So it's set at this full price and the unit price, but there's no discounts. So while I can see some of that information here in Invoice Edit Plus, it's actually going to be most beneficial for me to click Save Changes to this and view it from the pricing calculator. All right, so I was looking at it was actually the Demo-tastic that has a $0 price. It's a new product to this organization. I know we just added it a couple of weeks ago. So my question is, what's the problem? If I click into it, I can see the pricing information over here that it is in a frontline. It's this Pioneer Wind and Clouds frontline, but it's for $0. So I have a few options. I can try and view other promotions. Is there something that is like not qualifying that it should be? And I don't see anything else. It's applied this $0 frontline, which seems strange. And it seems strange for a reason. It is, in fact, not normal. My goal is to sell this product, not give it away. So the easiest way for me to start looking into why this is $0 is to actually go to this promotion. And what I'm going to do is open it in a new tab. I'm going to keep this invoice open so that I can come back to it and refresh it. So from this promotion, I'm going to take a look at a few things. I want to see the start date is set to 7/31. So I'm within the bounds of the start date. There's no end date. If I look at some of the default tables here, let's go ahead and add those. We can start to see more information about it. let's look specifically at that product because all of the pricing was correct on the others. And I am seeing a case amount being populated for all of these other products. But my problem product, the Demotastic Hazy IPA, has a promotions product, but it doesn't have a price. Now, I could go back through and try and figure out why there was a promotions product created with no price. It may be that we copied from another product and didn't carry over that price. It may be something that I've added from the global products catalog and just forgot to fill in. Ultimately, the why is not as important as fixing it because I want to sell this product. And the best way to do that is to edit the record itself. So I'm going to click into this pencil. It's going to allow me to do that. And what I want to set this at is 1877, not 108.77. So I'm setting that amount here. I don't need to set any participation. Again, this is a front line. And while that is a possibility, it isn't something that I'm going to set here. I'm also not giving away any free units as part of this, so I don't need to add that either, but I am going to go ahead and save this change. And now with my pricing of 1877 on this product, we're going to pop back into that invoice and see if that's resolved the issue. So I come back into the invoice and I'm just going to click refresh on this page. And you notice how it didn't change anything. If you've ever had to recalculate an invoice, then you know that the refresh is not the way we do that. So I just wanted to show that really quick. If you are using the legacy invoice view, then this might look a little different to you. But what I really like about this invoice view, the updated invoice view, is that I actually have a really handy button to just recalculate pricing. So instead of that workflow where we click edit and then save changes to force the recalculation, I'm actually just going to click this button once and we're going to see. I see that my pricing does in fact come through. And when I click on this, I actually have the same promotion that's still here, but now I have a price. So I can still see all of that information, but I was able to fix this issue and determine that the problem was with the promotions product record itself. Now, that was setting a front line. And we talked about one of the other really common scenarios being that we want to offer discounts or we want to offer different pricing. And in this case, we're going to go ahead and set up a new promotion that gives us a $2 discount off all products. I just received an email from Wind and Clouds saying that they will offer $1 of participation on all of the $2 discounts that we offer. So they pay $1, we pay $1, everything's cool. And the way that we would set something like that up is coming back into this promotions table. I am going to add a new promotion. We're going to do this on the fly together. So I'm here. I can see that I'm already on the promotions page. All I need to do is click add promotions and we're going to go through adding this. It's defaulted to a promotion type of discount, but if I click on this drop-down menu, I can see that there are other things available: frontline, case discount price, case price, etc. So I can choose from that drop-down menu what I want. In this case, I'm setting a discount and that's easy. The next field down is the market. Now, when we talked about the data model, we talked about being able to attach 2 of the 3 essential related pieces of information through the market. And for something like this, I do recommend using the market. It makes it so much easier because it's predictable. I'm going to enter in my Pioneer markets, and it looks like, here we go. So what I want to put in is for my Sterling locations only, I have several options. I can either do all of my Sterling customers, which is a location. I can do the off-premise customers and I can do the on-premise customers. And what's important to know about the way that I've named this is that it's really clear to me what is included here. These naming conventions matter. And when I put in something like, I do have a default market, this doesn't tell me who this is. Is this everybody from all locations? Is this nobody and no locations? Is it I don't know. I can't tell at a glance. Now, I do know that this is no promotion zones and no promotions locations. The default makes it so that I set those things on my promotion directly instead of indirectly from the market. There are reasons that I would do this, but this is not one of them. I know that this is going to all of my Sterling customers, so I'm going to go ahead and set that here, Sterling all. And if I wanted to, we can investigate that more. So let me hop in and show you what that looks like for those markets. When I go to my markets table, we're going to filter to my Sterling and we'll add in default just because we talked about it. So I'm going to add all of those into this view, and I want to add promotions locations and promotion zones. And right away, I can tell that default does not have any of those records. Visually, this line has been sort of grayed out. If I expand all of them, or even if I just expand this one plus sign, I will see no related records of the types that I added. So I expand this, and again, confirmed. My default market has no promotions locations and no promotion zones. So the use case for this is that I will attach promotions locations and promotion zones directly on the promotion instead of indirectly from the market. However, Sterling All includes the Sterling location and these promotion zones. Sterling on-prem includes the Sterling location and any of the on-premise zones that I've got set up. Sterling off-prem, again, Sterling, and then it looks like a bunch of the C stores and grocery stores that don't offer any off-premise consumption, and then one called off-premise specifically. So we can see how these markets allow for multiple relationships. Only instead of me setting all of these things, I would just have selected Sterling off-prem. So that's how you would use a market, and it's similar with a line. A line allows us to group products specifically. Instead of adding them individually as promotion products, I'm setting them as a line. And in this case, because it's wind and clouds, and they're all offering $2 off all of their products, $1 of participation, it's an easy decision for me to be able to put my wind and clouds line here. And I'm going to go ahead and select them. Now, I already had these things set up. So if you're looking at this thinking, do I need to do that? The answer is yes. Let's say that I needed to set up a new wind and clouds, and I'm not seeing them in here. It would be through this add related record that I would then be able to create a line on the fly and be able to use that, then leverage it later on down the road. So far, we've set a promotion type. We've identified the customers via zones and locations that will be attached to this promotion, and we've identified the products. So we've actually hit all three of those essential relationships to the promotion. An essential thing that we have not identified yet is the name. And just like any name in Encompass, it should be really clear what we're doing here. So if this is the September 2024 discount $2, whoops, for wind and clouds, that's the name that I want to give it. I want this to be at a glance easy to read and interpret. I know that this is time bound. I know that it's $2. I know that it applies to wind and clouds, and I don't have to do much investigation because I can see it. So what we call this is that kind of flat file view of what we're doing. And because I've set all of my products, I'm going to go ahead and put $2 in the amount here because that's how much we're taking off. I know that I'm going to want to calculate $1 per participation because that's what Wind and Clouds has agreed to. Now, I'm also going to say that I do have other required fields here of minimum purchase and minimum product count. These are not requirements for this discount that we're offering. So if I were doing something like a buy one, get one, I would say my minimum purchase is 1, my minimum product count is 1, right? They have to buy at least one product in order for it to qualify. these are the ways that we would set this. Now, my start date will always default to tomorrow. The assumption is that you are proactive about this, that we're not starting things later than they should be, but I am going to go ahead and put this at the first because, oops, looks like we forgot to get this entered and I'm creating it on the fly. I can utilize an end date, and because I do know that this goes until the end of September, I'm going to go ahead and enter that field in as well. And this is just to sort of, I'm already here. I know that it ends then. So any invoices created within that range that I can still calculate this on or run this for, I will. All right, now the last thing I'm going to talk about is the all products toggle. So all products is going to do exactly what it says it's going to do. Where I set a line that had those 5 or 6 products from Wind and Clouds only included in that line, all products would include all products in my site. If I have 3,000 product SKUs, I would then be setting a $2 discount on all products in my site. There is a use case for this toggle, but this isn't it. So I'm not going to be setting that, but I want you to understand that that is the other way to attach products to a promotion. We talked about promotions products and we troubleshot an issue where the promotions product needed the appropriate pricing. We've also now set a line on our new discount promotion. And we've seen that all products exist. This is not the day. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add record. And folks, it is that easy. We have created a product, or I'm sorry, a promotion that has everything that we need it to have. It helps us identify the customers who are going to get this, the products that are attached to it, the amount, and any of the other data, including the time. So I now have this discount ready to go. I'm going to go back to my invoice for Booze Clues here. And once again, I'm going to refresh it. And I don't see any of those discounts coming through still because ultimately what I need to do is recalculate the pricing. So I'm going to click that. And now we are seeing our new price with $2 off reflected here in the total. So we have set up that specific pricing to have a discount offering $2 off. Now, let's say the other scenario comes up where we think, oh, it was only our beer that was supposed to be $2. It's actually $1.50 for the seltzer products. So we can actually edit this promotion and we're going to go back to it. So I'm going to close down this markets tab because we don't need it anymore, but I'm going to leave my invoices open and go back into the promotion. Now there's 2 ways to do this. Because I've still got this tab open, it's really easy for me to click back in. But let's say that I wanted to access it from promotions calculator. I just click on the product. I can click to access it here. I know that it's a discount. I can view the other promotions, like we saw the front line that set our base price. I could access that one as well. In this case, we're just going to go back to that promotion, but I could have found it through those other ways. Now, what I'm not able to do with this line is set the differentiation on a per product basis or product type basis or something like that. I know that my beer gets a $2 discount. I know that my seltzer gets $1.50 and the participation is aligned with that. So it'll be 50% participation based off of that amount, which means that I can't use the line. What I'm going to do is line is not a required field, and I'm going to zero that out. I'm going to now also zero out my amount. Now, if I tried to take this out entirely and leave that field null, it will not let me. I need to put a value in, so I'm going to put a 0 amount in. And I'm going to do the same thing with participation. It requires a value. I can't leave it null. I will be setting my participation at the product level. So zeroing out my participation, I now go in to add my promotions products. So I don't have to mess with the line at all because I still have zones and I still have locations set through that. It's only these products that I need to modify. So I'll add promotions products and I'm brought to a very similar, familiar search screen. I know that what I want are all of my wind and clouds products. So that is still true. And I'm going to select all of them and save them. What this has done is something that we saw on our first example. I don't have anything in my amount or in my participation. So I know I need to set that. And again, the easiest way to do that is, I could click on the pencil individually for each of these. But if I view this subtable and then go to edit my column, oops, I need this one. I can now set those amounts. So it was $2 off on beer and $1.50 on seltzers. So let's carry that over. If I were setting $2 on everything, I don't know if you guys have seen this trick, I could fill this down, but I'm not. I want to set $1.50 on my seltzers. Whoops. So we'll take this value and carry it down to that seltzer. And I believe those are my only seltzers. Everything else is beer. So I've made the appropriate changes to amount and we'll click save. But I still need to set my participation. So we're going to edit that column next. I edit the column and this is $1 of participation on my beer products. So we're actually going to use the fill down again. Find it easier to just change these two fields than it is to change all 6 of them. So my participation is now set for all of my beer and all of my seltzer once I click Save Changes. All right, so if I come back now to my invoice, I'm going to exit out of my detailed pricing. I go back to the overview. For the 3rd time, I'm going to recalculate this pricing. And I now see that the seltzer products that were supposed to get $1.50 off are in fact receiving $1.50 off. $2 has been applied to all of my beer, and that is reflected in my total through that recalculation. So to recap the 3 scenarios that we've gone through today is we started by looking at an invoice and the pricing on it. We identified an issue with our Demo-tastic Hazy IPA that had $0 pricing. Because I'm not in the business of giving products away like that, I wanted to make sure that it was included in the correct frontline. So we found where that problem was coming from on the promotion product and added the correct pricing there. From there, we needed to add in a discount. And we applied that using both the line and the market, the most direct route for those groupings to get applied to that promotion. And then we changed that model, keeping the market, removing the line, and setting promotions products so that we could see the difference between applying the same discount to everything and setting that discount individually on the products. Those are 3 scenarios that we see just so much of on the support side of things. Just want to do a quick check-in. Are there any questions on anything that we've covered so far?
So far, there's no questions. I can give it a minute though, see if any populate.
Alrighty. Well, you just shout them out if we have them. I'm going to go back to the presentation and take a look. So, in that demo, we looked at an existing promotion. We created one from scratch. We looked at how that different sort of data model can be applied using markets, lines, or the direct promotions, products, zones, and locations. So what I want to leave you with is that there's a case for markets and lines. It is our preferred mechanism for most of what you're going to set up in your promotions because you can see how easy that becomes then. It's easy to create promotions for manual creation. It's easy to import them. It's one import, and we just sort of set those fields and let them go. We can assess promotions at a glance. It makes it really easy to see who this is applied to. It tells me a complete story, and I don't need to go into the subtables most of the time to look at it. But it does require a clear plan. It relies on the consistency of having accurate markets and accurate lines set up that are reusable. And it does mean that when you have to troubleshoot something, sometimes you have to do the digging. I have to click through to the market to see what locations and zones are applied to it. I have to click through to the zone then to see what customers I've got in customers' promotion zones tied to that promotion zone. So it means that if there is an issue, there could be more clicks involved. What it seeks to resolve is issues from the start. So my recommendation is you're going to spend your time on promotions in one of two ways. You're either going to spend your time troubleshooting or you're going to spend your time in the setup. So my preference is to have a really strong setup, but that's where I'm seeing a lot of success with these things. It's ultimately up to you, and I feel like there's often a combination of these things at play. So it isn't all markets and lines all the time. It's the agility to make those decisions on an as needed basis. All right. Our key takeaways for this session are that a structured setup makes accurate pricing and strategic decision making. It maximizes your profitability and revenue. This is easy, it's predictable, it's clear. So that structured setup is part of what Encompass does so well. These two things where we help you get product to people and get paid. It's this structured setup that's a really important part of it. The thing that I've mentioned several times, from the lines to the markets to the promotion naming conventions, it's clear naming conventions. That way we can see immediately who this is meant to go to and why. If there are inclusions, if there are exclusions, if it's time bound or what it does. And some of that is going to be institutional shorthand in a sense. I abbreviate my front lines with FL instead of typing that whole thing out. I might put in disco or discount or, any number of other things to identify what some of those are. But, we make those institutional rules and we stick to them. And it's because it makes those things so much easier. It's easy for me to say, oh, frontline is abbreviated FL. You see FL, it means frontline. It tells me at a glance. And finally, that there is a sophisticated data model here. And it can be as agile as you need it to be. You can have all levels of granularity and control from being able to set all of those things directly on a promotion in order to get to them, or being able to set them indirectly and a combination of them. In our final scenario, we were using a market and promotions products. So it's all of these different methods that come together that allow us to hone in on that, center of the Venn diagram that is accurate pricing for your customer, product, and location. All right. What kind of questions? Did anything come through, Alex?
Yeah, so we had a few. So the first one is if we have an error on participation and need it to be fixed for reporting, should that be on all items sold during the promotion time frame?
You know, I that sounds like a pretty specific question. If you're getting an error on your participation, I'd be curious to understand why and how that was set up. Is it a problem with the report? Is it a problem with the promotion? And ultimately, I think that's a support question. So I do recommend sending over that report to the support team so that we can take a look into the specifics of it. There's just too many dependencies for me to be able to make that determination here without seeing it.
Perfect. And then are you able to explain at a high level what a rebate equivalency promotion type would look like?
You know, one of the things that I would recommend, if you haven't seen this, we do have the promotion types. Oh, let's go into the promotion setup dashboard, I think is where this is. It talks about some of these different promotion types. Is rebate in here? Yeah. So, what the definition we see here is, oh gosh, I just saw it. I'm not. Okay, good. There it is it allows you to sell at the full price throughout the month and then run the end of month rebate builder. So if you're using rebate builder, believe that's another dashboard that you would go to. Is that I don't necessarily want to go too far into it, but if you've set that as your promotion type, then this end of month rebate builder should work in alignment with it to be pulling that information together and to build those rebates. So if I were to select, oh, looks like I can only build them for the previous month, and I don't have any available rebate promotions for the selected month, this is where I would be able to do that and set that up. So that's that combination, that it has to be a promotion type of rebate and it has to be for the past data, I think is the highest level that I want to go into in this session. I think it's more of an advanced feature.
Awesome. And the last question we had is, what is the condition field on the promotions table?
Let's go over to it. So let's go back into our promotion and I want to edit this guy. Oh my goodness. All right. So the condition allows us to, let me see actually what the input is. I'm going to go into the subtables and go to the promotions table definition. So I want to know if this is a free text field. I don't think it is. And I can't remember if it is just a number field or if it is a dollar, like a currency field. So I'm going to check the table definition just really quick to see that. And we can usually find, here we go. Yeah, it does look like it is just a text field with a length of 12. So those conditions just allow us to sort of identify characteristics that we would want to put onto this promotion. It isn't something that is a calculated field. I don't think that it pulls through even on our invoice, but let's put something in there to see. All right. So if I recalculate pricing, I've set that at the promotion level for this one. And in my discount, I'm not seeing anything. And it's not being shown here either. So this is something that is purely for reporting purposes. I would expect that you're using condition to do something like group specific products or make outliers. Like the condition that you applied to the promotion is that this we only want to report on the certain style of product, like IPAs only. I don't know. It won't actually put anything, it's not enforceable in any way, but it is something that you can use for reporting.
Great. And we do have a minute or so left, so I can go ahead and leave this open and see if there's any questions that do come in again. While we do wait, I just want to thank Lori again for presenting today and to all of our attendees. If you have a moment after this session to fill out the survey, we'd really appreciate your feedback. If you don't have time, we understand, and a link will also be sent to you in a follow-up email. You can also find this recording by the end of the day in the recording archive session. You can also ask Bev if you have any additional questions or reach out to support. We're always eager and happy to help. So, like I said, we'll give it just a minute here for any last minute questions. And if those don't populate, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Alrighty, and I don't see any immediate ones, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this session. Thank you all again for your time, and again, enjoy the rest of your week.
Ian will reach out to you directly. I do see your question come through. So I'm going to go ahead and save that and we'll reach out to you directly and take the conversation offline. Thanks so much, everybody.